I've never seen anybody lie like this guy.
This is the same autistic arguments that you tards use for Ukraine and Russia.
I'm a big fan of you, so I don't want you to die. I feel like your heart pressure is going up.
Two 16-year-olds meet, they want to can they do that?
Have you ever found yourself in the middle of a heated online debate and wondered, how did it get so toxic? Or perhaps you witnessed a seemingly harmless comment thread spiral into a battlefield of insults and misinformation. Whether it's a discussion on politics, economics, or even the latest celebrity scandal, it seems like every debate turns into a battleground. But why? What's really going wrong in our online debates? Let's dive into the chaos of internet debates and uncover what's really going wrong. The answer to this complicated question might surprise you. In this video, we're going to explore the murky waters of internet debates and dissect the factors that contribute to their often toxic, counterproductive nature. We'll examine the psychological aspects that drive our behavior, the technological and social elements that shape these discussions, and the various motivations behind why people engage in these debates. Debates are essentially a structured argument involving two primary groups, the debaters and the adjudicators, also known as the audience. Many discussions aren't formally labeled as debates, but even a simple opinionated post about your favorite brand can thrust you into one, where you find yourself addressing a diverse audience of critics and supporters. Furthermore, if you're a prominent figure online, your opinion can often become a catalyst for a debate. Regardless of your intent to engage, followers may take up the argument on your behalf, turning your statement into a proposition for discussion and controversy. In the ideal scenario, the winner of a debate would be determined by who is factually correct or closest to the truth. However, in reality, the outcome is often influenced by the audience, who may overlook facts in favor of personal appeal. This means that as a debater, the goal is to convince the audience, which doesn't always require a firm grounding in facts. The role of anonymity and pseudonymity. These two factors play a huge part in shaping the behavior we see online. But what exactly do we mean by anonymity and pseudonymity? And how do they contribute to the aggressive and often disrespectful discourse that is so common in online debates? To start, let's define our terms. Anonymity means that a user's real identity is completely hidden. They can interact, post, comment, and debate without revealing who they are. Pseudonymity, on the other hand, means that the user operates under a false name or pseudonym. While their real identity is hidden, they might still build a reputation or identity tied to their pseudonym. Both of these scenarios create a layer of separation between the user's online persona and their real-world self. You see, anonymity provides a shield, a layer of protection that can embolden users to say things they might never say in person. It's similar to the way people vent their frustrations at other drivers from the safety of their own cars. Safe and unseen, you're free to express your anger without direct consequences. Online, this dynamic shifts because you can directly communicate those thoughts to the person, often without facing any real-world consequences. This shield can be both empowering and dangerous. On one hand, it allows people to express honest opinions and thoughts without fear of real-world repercussions. For example, individuals living in oppressive regimes might use anonymous profiles to speak out against their governments. But on the other hand, this shield can lead to a lack of accountability, resulting in more aggressive and less respectful discourse. Psychologists have studied this phenomenon and coined the term online disinhibition effect. This effect describes how people behave differently online compared to in person. When shielded by anonymity, users are more likely to express themselves freely, sometimes in ways that are harmful or disrespectful. This disinhibition can lead to more honest expressions of opinion, but can also unleash pent-up aggression, leading to cyberbullies, trolls, and general toxicity. Let's look at some examples. Consider the comment sections of major news websites or social media platforms. It's common to see inflammatory comments that are racist, sexist, or just plain rude. These comments are often posted by anonymous users and those using pseudonyms. Without the fear of being personally identified, users feel free to express in the most extreme ways. In contrast, if these same individuals were required to post under their real names, it's likely they would be more cautious about their words, knowing their comments could impact their real-world reputation and relationships. A good example of this is when Blizzard Entertainment attempted to reframe their Battle.net platform to display users' real names in lieu of battle tags in 2010. The intention was to curb cyberbullying and reduce online aggression by removing the shield of anonymity. However, the backlash was severe and immediate. Users expressed overwhelming concerns about privacy and safety as harassment spread to personal social media pages, doxing, and even real-world threats. Even Blizzard employees faced harassments and threats when their real names were exposed. The intense public reaction forced Blizzard to reverse the decision within just a few days. From a psychological perspective, anonymity reduces the social pressure to conform to norms of polite and respectful behavior. When people interact face to face, there are immediate social cues and consequences. You can see the reaction of the person you're speaking to, and there's an inherent understanding that if you're too aggressive or disrespectful, you may face social sanctions. However, online, especially under the veil of anonymity, these cues and consequences are absent. This lack of immediate feedback can lead to de-individualization, where people lose their sense of individual identity and responsibility, resulting in behavior they would typically avoid in real life. Anonymity doesn't just affect individuals, it also impacts group dynamics. In online forums or social media groups, anonymity can contribute to mob mentality. When people see others expressing aggressive and disrespectful opinions without consequence, they may feel encouraged to do the same. This can escalate quickly, turning a debate into a chaotic, hostile environment. The anonymity provided by the internet makes it easier for individuals to join in, often resulting in a pile-on effect, where one person is targeted by a large group. While anonymity and pseudonymity share similarities, they also have distinct differences that impact online behavior. Anonymity offers complete freedom from identity, leading to a higher potential for reckless behavior. Pseudonymity, on the other hand, still allows for consistent online identity. This can create a sense of accountability within the context of that identity. Users on platforms like Reddit often build reputations under their pseudonyms. While their real identities remain hidden, their pseudonymous identities can gain or lose credibility based on their behavior. This can lead to more thoughtful participation in debates, as users may not want to damage their online persona. It's important to note that anonymity isn't all bad. For many, it provides a safe space to explore ideas and discuss controversial topics without fear of judgment. Anonymity can encourage participation from those who might otherwise remain silent, such as whistleblowers, survivors of abuse, or individuals with unpopular opinions. It can democratize online spaces, allowing a wider range of voices to be heard. However, the challenge lies in balancing these positive aspects with the potential for abuse. Another significant factor contributing to the often toxic nature of online debates is the creation of echo chambers. To better understand this, we need to explore how social media algorithms are designed to create these echo chambers, reinforcing existing beliefs and discouraging critical thinking. But what exactly is an echo chamber, and how do these algorithms work to shape our online experiences? An echo chamber is an environment where a person only encounters information or opinions that reflect and reinforce their own. In such a space, dissenting voices are minimalized or excluded, creating a feedback loop that continuously validates a person's beliefs. This can occur in various contexts, but the internet, particularly social media platforms, have significantly amplified the effect. These algorithms are designed to maximize user engagement by showing content that the users are most likely to interact with. This often means prioritizing content that aligns with a user's existing interests and beliefs. The more you engage with certain types of content, the more the algorithm feeds you this similar content, creating a personalized but narrow stream of information. To understand how algorithms create echo chambers, it's essential to know how they function. Social media platforms use complex algorithms to analyze your behavior, what you like, share, comment on, and even how long you spend looking at a certain post. These algorithms then predict what content will keep you engaged on the platform. The goal is to keep you scrolling and interacting as long as possible, as this drives the ad revenue on the platform. However, this pursuit of engagement can come at a cost. One of the primary consequences of these algorithms is the reinforcement of existing beliefs. When the content you see is tailored to your preferences, you are less likely to encounter diverse perspectives. Over time, this can lead to a confirmation bias, where you become increasingly confident in your views because they are constantly validated by the content you consume. This creates the illusion of consensus, making it seem like everyone shares your views. Consider the way news feeds on platforms like Facebook or YouTube operate. If you frequently like and share posts about a particular political party or ideology, the algorithm will prioritize similar content. This can result in a feed dominated by one-sided viewpoints, making it difficult to see the other side of the argument. During election cycles, users often find themselves in highly polarized echo chambers, with each side consuming content that portrays their candidate positively while demonizing the opposition. Echo chambers have a significant impact on critical thinking. By continuously exposing users to the similar viewpoints, they discourage questioning and critical analysis. When all the information you see aligns with your beliefs, you're less likely to seek out or consider opposing viewpoints. The lack of exposure to diverse perspectives reduces the opportunity for critical thinking and informed decision-making. From a psychological standpoint, echo chambers can create a sense of comfort and certainty. People love to be validated. Humans naturally seek out information that confirms their beliefs and avoid information that challenges them, a phenomenon known as confirmation bias that we'll talk about later. Echo chambers also influence group dynamics and social identity. When individuals are constantly surrounded by like-minded people, their group identity is reinforced. This can strengthen in-group cohesion, but also exacerbate out-group animosity. People within an echo chamber may develop a stronger sense of us versus them, viewing those outside of the chamber as not just different, but fundamentally opposed and even threatening, where the goal is not to understand, but to defeat the other side. The effects of echo chambers extend beyond the digital realm and can have profound real-world consequences. When large segments of the population are insulated with their own echo chambers, it can lead to increased societal polarization and difficulty in researching consensus on critical issues. This can affect everything from political decision-making to public health responses. By understanding the dynamics of echo chambers and taking steps to counteract their efforts, we can work towards a more informed and cohesive society. One effective step to ensure this is to research opposing opinions, but numerous psychological factors often impede this action. Nuance refers to the subtle distinctions and variations in meaning, expression, or tone. It is essential for understanding complex issues because it allows us to appreciate the depth and intricacy of different perspectives. Without nuance, discussions can become binary, reducing multifaceted issues to simple right or wrong or good versus bad dichotomies. Nuance helps us see the shades of gray that exist in most real-world problems. The digital landscape is not well suited for nuanced discussions. Platforms like TikTok and X impose strict character and time limits, which can force users to condense their thoughts into bite-sized pieces. While this can encourage brevity, it often leads to oversimplification. Content that goes viral tends to be more sensational or emotionally charged, which doesn't leave much room for nuanced analysis. The goal is to grab attention quickly, not to provide a thorough examination of an issue. The rise of memes and sound bites as forms of communication further reduces complex issues to easily digestible, often misleading snippets. And as we discussed earlier, echo chambers reinforce existing beliefs and discourage exposure to diverse perspectives, reducing the opportunity for nuanced understanding. Let's consider some examples. The debate around climate change is a prime example. On one hand, some people dismiss it entirely, calling it a hoax, while on the other side, some advocate for immediate and drastic actions without acknowledging the economic and social challenges involved. The nuanced discussions about policy solutions, economic impacts, and adaptation strategies are often lost in the noise. The debate over healthcare systems, such as the push for universal healthcare in the United States, often gets reduced to slogans like socialized medicine versus freedom of choice. The complexities of funding, quality of care, access, and the experiences of other countries are frequently glossed over. Discussions around gun control often boil down to the Second Amendment rights versus preventing violence, ignoring the multifaceted considerations of public safety, individual rights, mental health, and enforcement issues. From a psychological standpoint, humans have a tendency to prefer simple explanations over complex ones. This cognitive bias, known as Occam's razor, suggests that the simplest solution is often preferred. In the context of online debates, this means people are more likely to accept oversimplified narratives because they're easier to understand and process. However, this can lead to superficial understanding of issues and the rejection of more complex but accurate explanations. Media outlets also play a role in oversimplification of complex issues. Sensational headlines, clickbait articles, and the 24-hour news cycle prioritize quick, attention-grabbing stories over in-depth analysis. This contributes to the reduction of nuanced discussions and the propagation of simplistic narratives. The need for speed and the competition for clicks often outweigh the commitment to thorough and balanced reporting. Now that we have a better understanding of the nature of internet debates, let's discuss the psychological aspects of online argumentation. One of the most pervasive psychological factors influencing internet debates is confirmation bias. This cognitive bias leads people to seek out information that confirms their pre-existing beliefs, often ignoring or dismissing evidence that contradicts them, which funnels into echo chambers. But what is confirmation bias? How does it shape our online interactions and impact the quality of our debates? Confirmation bias is the tendency to search for, interpret, and remember information in a way that confirms our pre-existing beliefs or opinions. For example, if you've adopted a ketogenic diet in order to lose weight, you might be more inclined to seek out information that supports your choice rather than evidence that might make you reconsider, especially if you're eager for it to succeed. It's a natural part of human cognition that helps us make sense of the world, but it can also distort our understanding and lead to faulty reasoning. When we fall prey to confirmation bias, we become less open to new ideas and less likely to engage with opposing viewpoints. Psychologists have studied confirmation bias extensively and found that it operates on several different levels. First, people are more likely to seek out information sources that align with their beliefs. Someone who believes in climate change might follow news outlets and social media accounts that support this view, while avoiding sources that are skeptical. Second, when exposed to the same information, people interpret it differently based on their beliefs, creating selective interpretation. For instance, a study's results might be seen as robust evidence by one person, but flawed and biased by another. Lastly, people are likely to remember information that supports their beliefs and forget information that doesn't. This selective recall, commonly referred to as selective memory, reinforces existing beliefs over time. The internet amplifies confirmation bias in several ways. For example, personalized algorithms on social media platforms show users content that aligns with their interests and past behavior, and this personalization, combined with algorithm-created echo chambers, continuously reinforce confirmation bias by imposing users predominantly to like-minded views and validating their existing beliefs. Similar to echo chambers, filter bubbles occur when algorithms filter out content that doesn't align with users' preferences. This creates a bubble of information that supports their worldview, making it harder to encounter or even consider opposing perspectives. During election seasons, it's common to see confirmation bias in how people consume news. Confirmation bias also plays a significant role in the spread of conspiracy theories. Believers will search for and share information that supports their theory, while dismissing contradictory evidence as part of the conspiracy. Confirmation bias has several psychological effects on individuals and groups. First, as people find more information that supports their beliefs, their confidence in those beliefs grow, often to the point of overconfidence. Groups with strong confirmation bias can then become more polarized, as members reinforce each other's beliefs and become more entrenched in their views. With increased confidence and polarization, it makes it harder for people to change their minds, even in the face of strong evidence, concluding with stagnation in thought and resistance to new ideas. When people primarily seek out information that confirms their beliefs, they're less likely to approach debates with an open mind. This reduces the potential for meaningful dialogue and mutual understanding. Debates become more hostile as participants dismiss opposing viewpoints as ignorant or malicious, further entrenching their position. This bias also contributes to the oftentimes dangerous spread of misinformation, as people are more likely to share false or misleading information that aligns with their views, without critically evaluating its accuracy. This sequence turns one belief into a cascade of ignorance and unnecessary divisiveness in communities. One of the most significant psychological aspects of internet debates is the emergence of tribalism. This us versus them mentality can foster division and hostility, making constructive dialogue difficult. To understand this, we need to explore the nature of tribalism, how it manifests in online debates, and the impact it has on the public discourse. Tribalism refers to the strong loyalty one feels towards their own group, often accompanied by distrust or hostility towards those perceived as outsiders. This mentality is rooted in our evolutionary history, where belonging to a cohesive group was crucial for survival. In modern times, tribalism can be seen in various forms, such as nationalism, political partisanship, allegiance to sports teams, and even brand loyalty. Online, tribalism manifests in the format of tightly knit communities that fiercely defend their beliefs and identities. To understand why tribalism is so pervasive, it's helpful to look at its evolutionary roots. Historically speaking, humans lived in small groups where cooperation and loyalty were essential for survival. Being part of a tribe provided protection, shared resources, and social cohesion. This ingrained a deep-seated psychological tendency to form in-groups and out-groups, which persists today. In the digital age, these tribal instincts are transferred to online communities, where people rally around shared beliefs, values, and identities. Online platforms significantly amplify tribalistic behavior through various mechanisms. Firstly, social media and online forums facilitate the easy formation of groups among like-minded individuals. These groups can quickly become echo chambers, excluding dissenting voices and reinforcing in-group cohesion while fostering hostility towards outgroups. Secondly, the innate human need for identity and belonging drives people to align with specific online tribes, whether in fandoms, political groups, or niche communities, where members provide a sense of identity and support. Lastly, algorithmic reinforcement exacerbates tribalism by prioritizing content that aligns with users' in-group beliefs, further entrenching their positions and fostering division. Together, these factors create an environment ripe for heightened tribalism and division. In the realm of politics, tribalism is highly visible. Supporters of different political parties often engage in heated debates, with each side viewing the other not as just wrong, but morally corrupt. This us versus them mentality is reinforced by media outlets and online communities that cater to specific political ideologies. During the 2020 US presidential election, online debates reached a fever pitch, with supporters of Trump and Biden engaging in vicious exchanges. Each side viewed the other side not just as wrong, but morally corrupt, fueled by media outlets and social media algorithms that cater to specific political ideologies. Cultural issues such as debates over gender, race, and social justice can also become deeply tribal. Groups form around shared cultural identities and values, leading to fierce online battles where each side views the other as a threat to their way of life. The debate over transgender rights, for example, has become a battleground for cultural war online. Groups with opposing views on gender identity engage in intense conflicts, each side viewing the other as a fundamental threat to their values and way of life. Even in seemingly benign areas like entertainment, tribalism can emerge. Fans of different franchises like Star Wars versus Star Trek or celebrities can become highly defensive and hostile towards one another, often engaging in online skirmishes to defend their chosen tribe. The rivalry between Marvel and DC fans has escalated dramatically online. With each new movie release, fans of both franchises engage in heated arguments, with some going as far as review bombing the other's films just to defend their own chosen universe. Tribalism also intersects with confirmation bias, as people seek out information that supports their tribe's beliefs and dismisses evidence from out-group sources, ultimately leading to group polarization. Tribalism often wreaks havoc on the quality of online debates by fostering an us versus them mentality that turns discussions into battles, aiming to crush the opponent rather than understand them. Another critical psychological aspect that influences internet debates is the Dunning-Kruger effect. This cognitive bias leads people with limited knowledge to overestimate their understandings and expertise. To better understand this, we'll explore what the Dunning-Kruger effect is, how it manifests in online discussions, and the impact it has on the spread of misinformation. The Dunning-Kruger effect is a cognitive bias in which people with low ability or knowledge in a particular area overestimate their own competence. This effect was first identified by psychologists David Dunning and Justin Kruger in a 1999 study. The researchers found that the individuals who are least skilled in a domain are often the most confident about their abilities because they lack the self-awareness to recognize their deficiencies. Simply put, they don't know what they don't know. The Dunning-Kruger effect operates on several cognitive principles. First, people with limited knowledge often lack the metacognitive skills needed to accurately assess their own competence. This means that they're unable to recognize their own lack of understanding. Second, individuals with lower competence tend to exhibit illusory superiority, where they mistakenly believe their abilities are above average. This is because their lack of knowledge prevents them from seeing the complexity of the subject. Lastly, there is an inverse relationship between confidence and competence in those affected by the Dunning-Kruger effect. As competence increases, individuals become more aware of their limitations and their confidence levels out. The internet provides fertile ground for the Dunning-Kruger effect to manifest. First, the internet has a low barrier to entry and effectively allows anyone to voice their opinions and share information, regardless of their expertise. This democratization of information can be beneficial, but it also means that individuals with limited knowledge can spread misinformation widely. Content that is confident and assertive, even if incorrect, is often more likely to go viral. People tend to share information that appears authoritative, even if they lack the expertise to evaluate its accuracy. Let's look at some examples of the Dunning-Kruger effect in action. During the COVID-19 pandemic, many individuals with limited medical knowledge spread misinformation about treatments and preventative measures. Despite lacking formal medical training, these individuals often presented their opinions as fact, contributing to widespread confusion and harmful practices. One of the most extreme cases was the promotion of ingesting bleach as a cure for COVID-19. This dangerous myth, spread through social media and even mentioned in high-profile public forums, led to numerous hospitalizations and at least one documented death. Desperate and fearful, people followed this lethal advice, resulting in severe internal damage, poisoning, and an overwhelmed healthcare system grappling with not just the virus, but with the consequences of this reckless information. In the realm of finance, novice investors sometimes overestimate their understanding of complex markets and investment strategies. This overconfidence can lead to poor decision-making and the spread of bad advice to others. One of the most infamous examples occurred during the GameStop frenzy in early 2021. Spurred by social media hype, particularly on Reddit's Wall Street Bets forum, countless inexperienced investors poured their savings into GameStop shares, believing they could outsmart seasoned hedge funds. This speculative mania drove the stock price to absurd heights, only for it to crash precipitously. Many amateur investors who bought at the peak suffered substantial financial losses, some even losing their life savings. The reckless advice propagated by these overconfident novices not only destabilized their personal finances, but also highlights the dangers of uninformed mass speculation in the stock market. However, the Dunning-Kruger effect doesn't inherently lead to direct harm. A stark example of this is illustrated in a public exchange between renowned astrophysicist Neil deGrasse Tyson and actor Terrence Howard. Howard, known for his roles in Hollywood, ventured into the realm of advanced mathematics with his claim of having discovered a revolutionary new system. According to Howard, he redefined the rules of multiplication, asserting that 1 times 1 should equal 2. In a response, Neil deGrasse Tyson addressed Howard's claims with a mix of bewilderment and concern. Tyson pointed out the Dunning-Kruger effect explicitly, explaining that Howard's overconfidence in his flawed mathematical theory was a classic example.
This has been studied by others, and it's called the Dunning-Kruger effect. It's the phenomenon where a little bit of knowledge, you over-assess how much of that subject you actually know. And then when you learn even more, you realize, no, I didn't know as much as I thought I did. So then there's a sort of a lull there. And then when you learn even more, you come back up. Ultimately, learning enough to know whether you were right or wrong.
Tyson's call for humility and reliance on the established scientific methods served as a stark reminder of the Dunning-Kruger effect's impact on public discourse and knowledge. The Dunning-Kruger effect significantly impacts the quality of online debates by allowing overconfident individuals to dominate discussions and spread inaccurate information, often drowning out more knowledgeable voices. This influx of misinformation and overconfidence degrades the overall quality of discourse, making it increasingly difficult to reach informed conclusions. As a result, the widespread dissemination of misinformation erodes trust in online platforms and undermines the credibility of information found on the internet. To combat the Dunning-Kruger effect, it's crucial to develop skills in fact-checking, critical thinking, data literacy, and a healthy dose of skepticism. However, this requires individuals to challenge their own confirmation bias and tribalistic instincts, which can be a difficult and intimidating endeavor. Another significant psychological aspect that influences internet debates is the bandwagon effect, closely related to the chameleon effect. These phenomena describe how individuals tend to adopt popular opinions or mimic others to fit in with a group, often sacrificing their own critical thinking in the process. Let's identify what these effects are, how they manifest in online discussions, and the impact they have on the quality of debates. The bandwagon effect is a cognitive bias where people adopt certain behaviors, styles, or attitudes simply because others are doing so. The chameleon effect, on the other hand, involves unconscious mimicry of the behaviors, expressions, and postures of others to blend in socially. Both effects are driven by a desire for social acceptance and belonging, but they can undermine the individual's critical thinking and contribute to what's called groupthink. Confirmation bias can lead to the bandwagon and chameleon effect by making individuals more likely to conform to trends that align with their pre-existing beliefs, and conversely, the bandwagon and chameleon effect can draw people into confirmation bias by exposing them to repeated information that reinforce their existing viewpoints. Social media platforms highlight content that is trending or has high engagement. This visibility can create the impression that certain opinions are widely accepted, encouraging others to adopt them. Influencers and public figures can sway the opinions of their followers. When an influencer adopts a particular stance, their followers may mimic it to align with their perceived authority or popularity. Online communities and forums can create environments where conformity is encouraged. Members may feel pressured to align with the dominant opinions of the group to avoid social ostracism. Viral challenges or trends on platforms like TikTok and Instagram can illustrate the bandwagon effect. As more people participate, others join in to be part of the trend, often without critically evaluating the content. Similarly, influencers endorsing products can lead to the chameleon effect. Followers may purchase or promote the same products to align themselves with the influencer, adopting their behaviors and preferences. These effects can have several psychological impacts on individuals. The desire to fit in can overshadow critical thinking, as individuals may adopt popular opinions without fully understanding or evaluating them. Constantly mimicking others can also lead to the loss of personal identity and the suppression of unique thoughts and perspectives. The pressure to conform can also create a lot of stress and anxiety, particularly when individuals feel their true opinions conflict with what's popular. These effects significantly impact the quality of online debates. For example, these effects can lead to the homogenization of opinions, where diverse perspectives are lost and the debate becomes an echo chamber. The pressure to conform can also lead to groupthink, where the desire for harmony or conformity results in irrational and dysfunctional decision-making processes. Individuals who hold dissenting opinions may be reluctant to express them, fearing social ostracism or backlash. As a result of this suppression of dissent, those who dare speak about taboo topics often become polarizing figures. While many admire their assertiveness, they frequently face intense criticism and controversy. Now that we covered some of the psychological aspects, let's talk about some of the technological factors that are affecting online debates. One of the most significant technological factors influencing internet debates is algorithmic amplification. Social media algorithms are designed to prioritize content that drives engagement, often leading to the promotion of controversial and sensational material. To fully understand this, we'll need to explore how algorithms work, their impact on online discussions, and how they exacerbate conflicts. Algorithmic amplification refers to the process by which social media algorithms prioritize and boost content that is likely to generate high levels of user engagement. These algorithms are designed to maximize user interaction with the platform, often favoring content that is sensational, controversial, or emotionally charged. This can lead to a feedback loop where divisive content is more likely to be seen and shared, exacerbating conflicts and polarizing audiences. To understand algorithmic amplification, it's essential to know how social media algorithms function. First, social media platforms collect vast amounts of data on user behavior, including likes, shares, comments, watch time, and clicks. This data is used to build detailed profiles of user preferences. This data is so valuable, in fact, that oftentimes it's sold to other companies so that they can market their products much more efficiently. Algorithms prioritize content that generates high engagement metrics. This includes not only positive interactions like likes and shares, but also negative interactions like comments and reactions, which can indicate controversy. Algorithms then personalize content feeds based on individual user data, showing content and ads that align with past behavior and preferences. Because controversial and sensational content often generates strong emotional responses, it's more likely to be prioritized and amplified by the algorithm. This can lead to increased visibility and virality of such content. Sensational and misleading content, such as fake news stories, can be rapidly amplified by social media algorithms. The viral nature of such content can spread misinformation widely before it's debunked. Sadly, in many cases, content that debunks fake news and misinformation perform much worse. One example is the promotion of detox teas by influencers, predominantly between 2015 and 2019, claiming they rapidly lose weight and cleanse the body. These products often cause severe dehydration and other health issues. Scientific critiques highlighting the dangers of these products were much less viral, and the misleading trend eventually faded due to the rise of new fads rather than the widespread understanding of factual consensus. By prioritizing emotionally charged content, algorithms can manipulate users' emotions, keeping them engaged but also potentially increase stress, anxiety, and anger. As engagement increases, constant exposure to sensational and controversial content can lead to desensitization, where individuals become less sensitive to extreme or shocking material over time. This has unfortunately resulted in negative externalities, such as incentivizing the creation of increasingly extreme content. By prioritizing controversial content, algorithm can exacerbate conflicts and encourage adversarial interactions as debates become more about winning or engagement and less about understanding. Algorithm amplification contributes to the base rate fallacy in online discussions. Social media algorithms designed to prioritize highly engaging content often amplify sensational or anecdotal stories at the expense of broader statistical information. This skewed perception leads users to focus on dramatic, isolated incidents, ignoring the more accurate general data. As a result, rare events can appear far more common than they actually are, distorting public perception and understanding. Ultimately, this sparks many unfounded debates and can give viewers a distorted bias towards the actual significance of an issue. Another technological factor influencing internet debates is the prevalence of brief content, including character limits on platforms like X, formerly known as Twitter, short-form content, and soundbite culture. These constraints often hinder nuanced discussion and contribute to the oversimplification of complex issues. To understand this, I investigated how these brief content formats affect the quality of online debates and their broader implications for public discourse. Brief content includes restrictions on lengths of posts, such as character limits on social media, as well as the trend towards short-form content and soundbites. For example, X initially limited tweets to 140 characters, later expanding to 280 characters. Platforms like Vine, YouTube Shorts, Instagram Reels, and TikTok further epitomize this trend, promoting brief videos that prioritize quick engagement over depth. While brevity can enhance quick communication, it also prevents significant challenges for conveying complex ideas and fostering nuanced discussions. Brief content affects online communication by forcing the users to condense their thoughts, often oversimplifying complex issues and omitting important details. This emphasis on brevity fosters a soundbite culture, where sensational content is valued over in-depth analysis, making it difficult to express nuanced opinions and reducing the overall quality of discussions. While intellectual debate may not have been the original intention of these platforms, their rising popularity and user base has shifted them into arenas for public discourse, amplifying these challenges. Condensing complex thoughts into a limited format increases cognitive load, making communication more challenging and mentally taxing. Users must constantly prioritize and edit the fit within character limits and short-form content, which can lead to frustration and cognitive fatigue, especially when their summarized format is misinterpreted. This mental strain often results in oversimplified messages that lack depth and nuance, further complicating meaningful discourse and reducing the overall quality of communication. Arguably the most significant challenges in the digital age is the phenomenon of virality over veracity. The speed and reach of viral content can spread misinformation far more quickly than corrections can be made. For insight, I studied how virality operates, its impact on online discussions, and the broader implications for public discourse. Virality refers to the rapid and widespread dissemination of content across the internet. Viral content is typically shared quickly and extensively, reaching large audiences in short amounts of time. This can include anything from memes and videos to news stories and social media posts. While viral content can be entertaining and informative, it can also spread misinformation rapidly and extensively. Several factors contribute to the virality of content, such as emotional appeal, relatability, novelty, and algorithmic boosting. The speed and reach of viral content are often unprecedented in the digital age. Social media platforms enable content to be shared with millions of people within minutes. The speed of dissemination is escalated tenfold with the constant technological advances in AI. An alarming example is AI-driven content farms, which have been proliferating rapidly. These farms use generative AI tools to produce hundreds of news articles daily, often spreading misinformation at an alarming rate. A report by NewsGuard highlighted how dozens of these fake news websites have emerged, publishing AI-generated content in multiple languages. These sites churn out vast amounts of misleading information, making it difficult for accurate news to keep up. This phenomenon not only highlights the sheer volume of content that AI can generate, but also underscores the significant challenges it poses to maintain the integrity of information online. The rampant spread of viral misinformation has significantly eroded trust in online platforms and information sources. Individuals increasingly struggle to discern fact from fiction. This pervasive uncertainty has led many to become skeptical of virtually all information encountered online, including content from credible sources and substantive authorities. Consequently, even well-substantiated and factual information is often met with suspicion, undermining the various foundations of informed public discourse and contributing to a climate of pervasive doubt and cynicism. Closely related to the issue of virality is the availability cascade, a self-reinforcing process where a belief gains more plausibility through its increasing repetition in public discourse. This logical fallacy occurs when people adopt beliefs and opinions because they are repeatedly exposed to them, rather than because they have critically evaluated the evidence. In the context of online debates, an availability cascade can lead to the widespread acceptance of misinformation, as individuals are more likely to believe and share content that appears popular or frequently mentioned. The more you see it, the more you believe it. This cascade effect can create a feedback loop where the perceived truth of a statement is amplified not by its accuracy, but by its sheer ubiquity, further complicating efforts to discern fact from fiction in digital conversations. We've discussed the psychological aspects and the technological factors, but cultural and societal factors play just as big of a role. One of the most contentious cultural and social factors affecting internet debates today is the phenomenon of cancel culture. This trend, characterized by the public calling out and ostracizing individuals for perceived wrongdoings or unpopular opinions, has profound implications for online discourse. Let's dive into the rise of cancel culture, its impact on the willingness of individuals to engage in debates, and the broader consequences for public dialogue. Cancel culture refers to the practice of withdrawing support for public figures, companies, or individuals after they have said or done something considered objectionable or offensive. This often involves public shaming, boycotts, and calls for their removal from positions of influence. While cancel culture aims to hold people accountable for their actions, it can also create a climate of fear and silence where individuals are hesitant to express their opinion. Cancel culture has gained momentum in recent years, driven by several factors. Platforms like Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram make it easy for calls to cancel someone to go viral. A single post can quickly garner widespread attention and mobilize public backlash. In some cases, cancel culture has a response to a lack of accountability. It empowers marginalized voices and holds powerful individuals and institutions to account for their actions. The increasing polarization of society has contributed to the rise of cancel culture. As people become more entrenched in their views, they are less tolerant of opposing opinions and more likely to support canceling those they disagree with. Despite its controversial nature, cancel culture has the potential for positive impact and may have initially intended to achieve several beneficial outcomes. It can serve as a powerful tool for societal accountability, bringing attention to issues that were previously overlooked or ignored. Ideally, cancel culture could be harnessed to bring attention to illegal activity, pass progressive legislation, and promote political involvement. However, due to its exploitive nature and phenomena like the bandwagon effect, it often undermines these goals by fostering division and punitive outrage rather than constructive outcomes. Because of this exploitative nature, the punitive side can sometimes fall short, as it becomes associated with hyperbolic rhetoric or emotionally driven outrage rather than meaningful change. Let's look at some examples. Public figures such as actors and musicians have been canceled after old tweets or controversial statements resurfaced. Comedian Kevin Hart stepped down from hosting the Oscars after past homophobic tweets were brought to light. Even companies have faced boycotts and calls for cancellation over political stances or actions. For example, the fast food chain Chick-fil-A faced backlash and boycotts over its donations to anti-LGBTQ+ organizations. Professors and intellectuals have also been canceled for expressing controversial opinions. This includes instances where universities have faced pressure to fire faculty members for their views on sensitive topics. This can result in ad hominem attacks, where credible scientists and scholars are discredited due to their political stances, irrespective of their factual scientific discoveries. Such dismissals can undermine the integrity of scientific discourse, as valuable contributions to knowledge and research are often overshadowed by the individual's political beliefs, further polarizing academic environments and stifling the pursuit of objective truth. The fear of being canceled can lead individuals to self-censor, avoiding the expression of controversial or unpopular opinions, which can stifle open and honest dialogue. Additionally, the pressure to conform to prevailing opinions can reduce diversity of thought, as people may feel more compelled to align with the majority to avoid being targeted by cancel culture. Those who are canceled can experience significant stress and anxiety facing public shaming and ostracism that can affect their personal and professional lives. Whether or not this backlash is justified is often situational and highly subjective. Another significant cultural and social factor affecting internet debates is the influence of celebrities and social media influencers. These public figures have a substantial impact on shaping public opinion and can often polarize debates. In order to recognize this impact, we must first understand how influencers and celebrities affect online discussions, the mechanisms through which they shape opinions, and the broader implications. With the advent of social media, influencers and celebrities have gained unprecedented reach and power. Platforms like Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, and TikTok have allowed these individuals to build massive followings and wield significant influence over their audiences. Their opinions and endorsements can sway public sentiment, drive trends, and even affect political and social movements. Influencers and celebrities can endorse a number of different causes, such as political endorsements, social movements, and health and wellness. Influencers and celebrities have also played significant roles in social movements like the Me Too and the Black Lives Matter movements, with prominent examples including Alyssa Milano and Colin Kaepernick, who use their online presence to amplify these causes. Figures like Liver King and Joe Rogan have influenced public opinion on health and wellness topics, from alternative medicine to fitness regimens. This influence is a double-edged sword, as it can both inspire or mobilize followers, while also polarizing debates and potentially spreading misinformation. Another issue that arises in the realm of online debates, but particularly with the influence of celebrities and social media personalities, is virtue signaling, defined as the act of expressing opinion or sentiments primarily to demonstrate one's moral superiority or alignment with popular values. Virtue signaling often involves public declarations on social media to gain social approval, rather than to contribute meaningful insights to a discussion. While it can stem from genuine beliefs, virtue signaling tends to reduce complex issues to superficial displays of morality, diverting attention from substantive dialogue. Another problematic behavior in online debates is pandering. Pandering involves tailoring messages or opinions to please a specific audience, often at the expense of authenticity or truth. This behavior primarily occurs in social media platforms, where influencers and public figures may say what they think their followers want to hear to gain approval and engagement. Pandering undermines the integrity of online debates by prioritizing popularity over honest discourse. It can lead to the reinforcement of echo chambers where only agreeable viewpoints are expressed and challenging ideas are suppressed. This practice not only hinders genuine discussion, but also perpetrates misinformation and polarization, as nuanced and critical perspectives are sacrificed for the sake of appeasing an audience. Ad hominem attacks, or personal attacks, occur when someone criticizes their opponent's character or personal traits instead of addressing the argument. This form of argumentation is considered a logical fallacy because it diverts attention from the actual issue being discussed.
I don't respect any Nepo baby that thinks Twitch streaming is a job.
Including the fact that for 10 years he called them super predators. We can't, in the 1990s, we can't forget that.
An ad hominem is when you dismiss a person's argument by appealing to a personal attack. If I say, you're wrong because of XYZ dipshit, that's not an ad hominem. That's just me calling you a name after substantively disagreeing with you. So if there's a point that you feel like you made that I didn't address, feel free to tell me and I will address it.
Instead of engaging with the substance of the debate, ad hominem attacks seek to undermine the credibility and integrity of the opponent. While pointing out someone's history of fraud and dishonesty can be relevant if it's directly related to the credibility of their argument, ad hominem attacks typically distract from the main topic, leading the discussion away from the core issue, similar to a red herring. Ad hominem attacks can take various forms, such as character assassination, where the opponent's morality or integrity is questioned to suggest they are untrustworthy or immoral. For instance, during online debates, critics have attacked Elon Musk's character by bringing up his controversial tweets and behavior to undermine his credibility and trustworthiness. Guilt by association criticizes the opponent based off their affiliations rather than their arguments. For example, critics have discredited Jordan Peterson's perspectives on gender issues by linking him to far-right groups, without engaging in his actual points. Bringing up irrelevant personal circumstances or experiences serve to discredit the opponent, diverting attention from the actual debate. While it is your right to oppose someone for their specific beliefs, it's crucial to recognize that these beliefs may be unrelated to the current discussion, and dismissing their argument entirely could lead to irrational conclusions and miss opportunities to reliably refute an argument or acquire knowledge. Consider it this way: if your preconceived judgments cloud your rational assessment of an argument, You risk falling into a logical fallacy and giving your adversary an advantage. Echo chambers, confirmation bias, and tribalism can significantly influence the formation of ad hominem attacks. When individuals are isolated within echo chambers, they are continuously exposed to homogeneous opinions that reinforce their pre-existing beliefs. This reinforcement strengthens confirmation bias, where individuals favor information that aligns with their viewpoints, while dismissing contradictory evidence. Additionally, tribalism fosters a strong allegiance to one's group, often leading to an us versus them mentality. These factors create an environment where personal attacks, or ad hominems, are perceived as valid strategies to discredit opponents rather than engaging with their arguments. As a result, debates become less about rational discourse and more about defending one's identity and beliefs through any means, including unrelated personal attacks. Ad hominem attacks, despite being a logical fallacy, can often be successful in debates by swaying the audience. These personal attacks can be very persuasive because they appeal to emotions and biases, making it easier for the audience to side with the attacker rather than critically evaluate the argument's substance. Remember, winning an argument often hinges on convincing the audience, not necessarily being factually correct. As an adjudicator, it's crucial to recognize when a debater, even one you agree with, resorts to logical fallacies like ad hominem attacks. Instead of allowing these fallacies to distract from the core issues, one should advocate for more logical and rational refutes to maintain the integrity of the debate. The more well-informed adjudicators are present who can recognize logical fallacies, the more rational and reasoned the debate must become. This increased scrutiny ensures that debaters stick to sound arguments, leading to more productive discussions and a greater accumulation of knowledge. Being the target of personal attacks can lead to significant emotional distress and anxiety, making individuals hesitant to engage in future debates. When discussions are continuously derailed by unrelated personal attacks, it discourages meaningful participation and undermines the value of the debate itself.
I'm in very good health. I just won 2 club championships, not even senior, 2 regular club championships. To do that, you have to be quite smart and you have to be able to hit the ball a long way. And I do it. He doesn't do it. He can't hit a ball 50 yards. He challenged me to a golf match. He can't hit a ball 50 yards.
Ad hominem attacks can put individuals on the defensive, shifting their focus from constructive argumentation to defending their character.
Look, I'd be happy to have a driving contest with him. The reason I got my handicap, which when I was vice president, down to a 6.
Another fascinating aspect of online debates is the occurrence of social paradoxes. A well-known example is the Streisand effect, but there are other relevant paradoxes that play out in digital interactions. In this section, we'll explore these paradoxes, how they manifest in online debates, and their broader implications. Social paradoxes refer to situations where actions intended to produce a certain outcome result in the opposite effect. The Streisand effect is a prime example, named after Barbra Streisand's attempt to suppress photographs of her home, which resulted in the photos becoming widely publicized. The Streisand effect occurs when an attempt to hide, remove, or censor information results in increased attention and dissemination of that information. This paradox highlights the counterproductive nature of censorship in the digital age, where efforts to suppress information can backfire spectacularly. One example of the Streisand effect occurred in February of 2024, when Boeing faced significant backlash when its CEO attempted to suppress a whistleblower's report, detailing safety violations and unethical practices within the company. The CEO's legal action against the whistleblower drew widespread media coverage, significantly increasing the public awareness and scrutiny of Boeing's practices. There are several other social paradoxes relevant to online debates that people should be aware of. One such paradox is the boomerang effect, where efforts to change someone's opinion through persuasion can sometimes strengthen the original beliefs. A notable recent example occurred when aggressive fact-checking of vaccine misinformation on social media led some individuals to become even more staunchly anti-vaccine. Another related phenomenon is the backfire effect, where presenting people with evidence that contradicts their beliefs makes them cling to those beliefs even more strongly. This was evident in 2023, when scientific data correcting misconceptions about climate change led certain groups, particularly in online forums, to intensify their climate change denial, despite the overwhelming evidence presented. The reactive devaluation paradox illustrates how information from a perceived adversary is often devalued simply due to its source. This concept ties closely to the ad hominem attacks previously discussed, where the value of arguments is undermined based on the opponent's identity rather than the content itself. And then we have the paradox of tolerance, which demonstrates that unlimited tolerance can erode itself if intolerant behaviors are not checked. This was exemplified in the rise of hate speech on social media platforms, which, when left unchecked in the name of free speech, led to increasing intolerance and discrimination. I argue that the ignorance of social paradoxes is what often causes these paradoxes to manifest and perpetuate in online debates. This phenomenon is closely related to what's called meta-ignorance, a paradox where individuals are unaware of their own ignorance, leading to behaviors that exacerbate their misconceptions and the very issues they aim to resolve. When people are unaware of paradoxes like the boomerang effect or the backfire effect, their attempts to persuade or correct others often backfire, strengthening the original beliefs they seek to change. Similarly, ignorance of the Streisand effect can lead to attempts to suppress information, resulting in its wider dissemination, ultimately degrading the quality of public discourse. This coincides with the unknown unknowns paradox, in preparing for or addressing issues that we are not even aware exist, thus exacerbating the challenges of navigating complex online interactions effectively. One of the most significant but often overlooked consequences of poor debate practices on the internet is their impact on mental health. As I answer the question, what's wrong with online debates? Addressing mental health becomes essential. Toxic debates can lead to increased levels of anxiety, depression, and stress among participants and observers alike. Furthermore, these interactions can have a profound effect on mental health awareness, as people may unknowingly argue with individuals who have mental health disorders, are experiencing a mental health crisis, or are being pushed into one. In this section, we'll address not only how mental health affects debates, but also how debates affect mental health, so that we can round the final corner and answer the question, what is wrong with online debates? Toxic debates are characterized by hostility, personal attacks, and a lack of constructive dialogue. These interactions often involve ad hominem attacks, trolling, and aggressive language, creating an environment that is stressful and emotionally draining for those involved. Engaging in or witnessing such debates can leave individuals feeling attacked, misunderstood, and unsupported, leading to negative mental health outcomes. This not only impacts the current debate, but also has a cascading effect on future discussions and the overall well-being of the debater. Several psychological mechanisms explain how toxic debates impact mental health and how mental health affects the nature of these debates. Social comparison occurs when individuals engage in or observe toxic debates, leading them to compare themselves unfavorably to others, resulting in feelings of inadequacy and low self-esteem, which can fuel defensive or aggressive responses in future debates. Emotional contagion refers to the spread of negative emotions through social networks, where exposure to hostility and aggression increases stress and anxiety, making individuals more likely to engage in toxic behavior themselves. Cognitive dissonance happens when aggressive challenges to one's beliefs create emotional discomfort and stress as individuals struggle to reconcile conflicting information, leading to an escalation of hostility as they double down on their beliefs to reduce dissonance. Individuals targeted by cyberbullying during online debates can experience significant emotional distress, leading to anxiety, depression, and even suicidal thoughts. The anonymity of the internet often exacerbates these effects, as perpetrators feel emboldened to act without consequences. Those suffering from mental health issues may be more vulnerable to such attacks, and the resulting distress can further degrade their mental health, creating a vicious cycle. Additionally, the sunk cost fallacy, where individuals continue to invest time, energy, and even their mental health into an argument because they've already invested so much, can exacerbate the situation. Victims of cyberbullying may relentlessly drive their point, often engaging with individuals who will not even budge with their opinions, or are simply baiting or trolling them without genuine consideration. Trolling and baiting are terms used to describe online behaviors aimed at provoking or upsetting others, often for amusement, more so than a tool for argumentation. Trolling involves deliberately posting inflammatory, irrelevant, or off-topic messages to disrupt conversations and incite emotional reactions. Baiting is similar, but focuses on luring someone into an argument or confrontation, often by making provocative statements or asking leading questions. A related tactic is the gotcha moment, where an individual asks a seemingly innocent question or sets up a trap to catch someone in a mistake or contradiction. This approach is intended to discredit the opponent publicly, often prioritizing the thrill of the trap over the genuine discussion. These behaviors can significantly degrade the quality of online debates, turning them into spectacles of one-upmanship rather than forums for meaningful exchange. These behaviors can significantly impact mental health of both the troll and the trolled. For the troll, engaging in such activities can be a sign of underlying issues such as loneliness, low self-esteem, or a need for attention. Studies have shown that individuals who frequently troll online may exhibit traits associated with the dark tetrad of personality traits: narcissism, Machiavellianism, psychopathy, and sadism. These individuals may experience short-term gratification from provoking others, but often suffer from deeper unresolved emotional and psychological issues. For the trolled, the experience can be extremely distressing. The relentless nature of trolling, especially when combined with the sunk cost fallacy, can trap individuals in a cycle trying to defend their positions or respond to provocations, further exacerbating their mental health issues. This ongoing engagement can lead to the sense of helplessness and frustration, making it difficult for individuals to disengage and protect their mental well-being. Before engaging in online debate, take a moment to consider if you are mentally prepared for the potential stress and conflict it may bring. Ask yourself, why do you want to participate in this debate? And whether it's worth the emotional investment. Understand and prioritize your mental health by recognizing your limits and knowing when to step back. Debating can be intellectually stimulating, but it should not come at the cost of your own well-being. Make sure your motives align with your values, and that you are ready to handle the consequences that may arise from the discussion. Another major problem with online debates is often their lack of structure, which contrasts sharply with the formal, organized nature of professional debates. In professional settings, debates are often meticulously structured to ensure clarity, focus, and fairness. These debates typically revolve around a well-defined proposition, with two sides: the proposition, the affirmative, and the opposition, the negative. Each side presents arguments, refutes the other's points, and aims to persuade the audience through logical reasoning and evidence. Defining the rules of the proposition and opposition is crucial. The proposition is responsible for advocating a specific resolution or idea, while the opposite refutes the proposition's arguments and presents counterarguments. Staying on topic and addressing the specific resolution are fundamental to maintaining the debate's focus and integrity. Central to understanding the roles of proposition and opposition is the concept of the burden of proof. The burden of proof lies with the proposition, meaning it is their responsibility to provide sufficient evidence and reasoning to support the resolution or idea they're advocating. This burden requires the proposition to establish a compelling case that the audience can find convincing. If the proposition fails to meet this burden, the opposition wins by default because the resolution has not been adequately supported. The goals of the debaters can significantly influence the quality and the direction of the debate. Here are 3 primary goals that online debaters might pursue, though it's possible for more than one of these goals to be present. Number 1, seeking knowledge. In this scenario, the debater engages in the debate to explore and understand different perspectives, gain new insights, and refine their own viewpoints. This approach fosters a collaborative and constructive environment where the primary objective is learning and intellectual growth. While this doesn't mean that they will hold back in their arguments, it typically means that they'll be more likely to feel satisfied even if they lose the debate, as their goal of acquiring knowledge was achieved. Unfortunately, this goal is not commonly seen in debates online, which is somewhat understandable, as being okay with losing can make it a little bit less enticing. However, there is a known paradox in debates: the advocacy paradox, where arguments presented with an objective, non-partisan demeanor are more credible and persuasive than those delivered with overt bias. In layman's terms, presenting your arguments in a calm, unbiased manner makes you seem more trustworthy and convincing than if you came across as obviously trying to win or push a particular agenda. Number 2, proving oneself right. Here, the debater aims to validate their pre-existing beliefs and persuade others to accept their viewpoint. This can lead to a more adversarial debate, where the focus is on winning the argument rather than seeking truth. While this can be effective in some contexts, it often reduces the opportunity for genuine dialogue and understanding, and this is often the most common goal in debates. Number 3, creating content for views and engagement. In the age of social media, many debates are structured to generate content that attracts views and engagement. Debaters might prioritize sensationalism, controversy, and entertainment over factual and constructive discussion. This approach can lead to superficial debates that prioritize style over substance and often exacerbate conflicts. This type of goal isn't inherently bad, especially when the goal is known. But when the goal is obfuscated, the debate can feel like a trap. Terms like trolling, baiting, and pandering become more common in such scenarios. This goal is prevalent in many online debates and is also common in media, news, and journalism. Understanding this concept, you can view certain interviews as a form of debate. Clearly defining the goals of the debate at the outset is essential. It sets the tone and expectations, guiding participants and the audience towards a common understanding of what the debate aims to achieve. Whether the goal is to educate, persuade, or entertain, having a clear objective helps maintain focus and ensures that the debate remains productive and relevant. If this isn't defined, the debate often becomes messy, circular, unfair, or stagnant. For example, a recent debate between Sneeko and Moist Critical on the topic of the age of consent illustrates this point. As they debated, it became evident that they were addressing 3 different aspects simultaneously. The question was vaguely framed as, what is the age of consent?
Why are you so insistent on like the age of consent being like unreasonable? Or at least that's the impression I and most people gather from the way you speak about it.
But their discussion toggled between defining terms, moral arguments, and legal perspectives.
You're following the government's definition of an adult.
I think there needs to be a definition, and that one's been around for a long time, and I think that's the one most people accepted.
They debated the definition of a child versus an adult, the moral implications of various ages of consent, and the legal standards in different jurisdictions.
And in America, the majority of the states, it's 16. Are those people who follow the law of the land, are they pedophiles for following the... So the majority...
You keep saying the law of the land.
That's what it is. The majority of states, it's 16.
This lack of a clear, unified goal led to a fragmented and unproductive debate.
2 14-year-olds, you don't think that 2 14-year-olds can be married?
No, absolutely not. No.
Highlighting the importance of setting a clear objective from the start. If the proposition had been well defined, such as my moral opinion is that the age of consent should be 18, any tangent responses could be easily refuted. For example, if someone argued, well, it's legal at 14 in this country, a simple retort would be to redirect the original moral argument, emphasizing that while the law in another country may differ, the debate is centered on the moral perspective that the age of consent should be 18. And then you can press the opponent to address the specific moral standpoint once again, perhaps even pointing out the deception to weaken their stance. This contrast is highlighted when Sneeko debated the same topic with Destiny, a more seasoned debater.
What do you think the age of consent should be, Sneeko?
Yeah, this is not an important conversation.
No, it's a super important. You don't think f***ing kids are not as an important conversation? What do you think the age of consent should be? If you want to be consistent, you don't think anything updates, just tell us what you think it should be.
When Sneeko drifted away from the proposition, Destiny used the opportunity to call out the inability to answer the question and stay on topic, effectively maintaining control and weakening Sneeko's stance.
I'd say it's a developed age.
No, answer the question, you fucking pussy. Holy shit, you're such a cowardly f***. Stand up for what you believe in. If you actually are Muslim, you're actually Islamic or whatever, then stand up for your beliefs. What should the age of consent be?
Do you see how...
You see how you want to answer the question? You see how he's going to yap and not answer the question? I'm going to ask the same thing when you're done. Go ahead.
This underscores the importance of clearly defining and adhering the debate's central proposition for a more structured and meaningful exchange. This illustrates that while skilled debaters can often navigate discussions without strictly defined propositions, establishing and adhering to a clear proposition becomes essential for those with less experience. Professional debates also emphasize the importance of adhering to a structured format. This includes timed speeches, designated rebuttal periods, and strict adherence to the topic. Such structure helps prevent digressions, personal attacks, and other forms of disruptive behavior that can derail the debate. It ensures that both sides have an equal opportunity to present their case and respond to their opponent's arguments. This becomes a common issue in broadcasted content, like debates on CNN or Piers Morgan. That's not to say that that's always a bad thing, since these structural difficulties can be used to the debater's advantage. Lastly, we have the setting and the audience. The setting and the audience play crucial roles in determining the outcome of a debate. For this section, it's important to remember that the winner of the debate is not necessarily the one who is factually correct, but the one who effectively wins over the audience. One of the most significant factors in any debate is the audience's biases. Audience bias can sway the outcome of a debate, regardless of the strength or factual accuracy of the arguments presented. People are more likely to support arguments that align with their pre-existing beliefs and values. As we've previously discussed, this phenomenon is known as confirmation bias, where individuals prefer information that supports their pre-existing beliefs while ignoring or dismissing information that contradicts them. For example, a debate on climate change presented to an audience of environmental activists will likely have a different reception compared to an audience of climate change skeptics. The setting of a debate is another critical factor, as the environment in which a debate takes place can significantly influence both the debaters and the audience. Different settings can either enhance or undermine the effectiveness of the arguments presented. For example, when a talk show host invites a guest to debate a topic, the host often has control over the setting, audience, and the framing of the discussion, which can create a biased environment that favors the host's perspective. Similarly, when a streamer invites someone to their channel for a debate, the streamer controls the presentation and flow of the conversation, with the audience, who are often fans of the streamer, potentially biased towards the streamer's viewpoint. Choosing the right setting for a debate and understanding the inherent biases when watching a debate is vital. A debater needs to be aware of the audience's predispositions and tailor their arguments accordingly. For example, if the goal is to persuade a skeptical audience, the debater may want to focus on presenting clear, evidence-based arguments that address the audience's concerns directly. This leads us to another intriguing debate paradox, where arguing from a difficult position can be advantageous. This phenomenon, known as the paradox of the underdog, suggests that taking on a challenging stance can showcase a debater's skill and earn respect, even if the position is harder to defend. Moreover, understanding the biases of the audience can help viewers critically evaluate the arguments presented. Recognizing that a debate hosted by a conservative talk show might have a different slant compared to one hosted by a liberal media outlet can help viewers sift through the bias and focus on substantive arguments. The chameleon effect, as previously mentioned, refers to the unconscious mimicry of postures, mannerisms, facial expressions, and other behaviors of one's interaction partners. In the context of debates, this effect can influence how the audience perceives the arguments. If the audience is generally disapproving, individual viewers may be more inclined to disapprove as well, highlighting the social traps presented in such scenarios. This dynamic can create a reinforcing loop where the audience's initial reaction influences the overall perception of the debate, regardless of the merits of the argument. This is why it's essential for debaters to be aware of the audience's mood and biases. Framing an argumentation refers to presenting information in a way that influences the interpretation and perception of the audience. The way a debate is framed can significantly impact its outcome. Here's an example. Implementing stricter gun control laws is necessary to reduce gun violence and ensure public safety. However, when reframing the same issue to appeal to the Second Amendment advocates, the statement could be, enhancing background checks and promoting responsible gun ownership can help keep our communities safe while respecting individual rights. In live debates, moderators play a crucial role in framing the discussion. They can guide the conversation, highlight certain points, and even influence the tone of the debate. A skilled moderator ensures that the debate remains focused, fair, and productive. However, biased moderation can skew the debate in favor of one side, affecting the audience's perception. For the sake of pre-recorded content, edited videos and pre-recorded debates can be framed to emphasize certain arguments and downplay others. By selectively editing the content, creators can shape the narratives to align with their intended message. This can be used to create a favorable impression of one side while undermining the other. An interesting dynamic of modern debates is the ability to manipulate the perception of an argument post-debate. A debater might hypothetically lose an argument in real time, failing to persuade the live audience or respond effectively under pressure. When this edited content is shared online, it can sway public opinion in their favor, especially among those who did not witness the original debate. Social traps, such as groupthink and the bandwagon effect, can influence the dynamics of debates. Groupthink occurs when individuals prioritize harmony and consensus within a group over critical evaluation of alternative ideas. This can lead to poor decision-making and suppression of dissenting opinions. In debates, groupthink can create an environment where alternative viewpoints are not adequately considered, resulting in a biased outcome. So, what's the real problem with online debates? Sure, algorithms amplify sensational content over thoughtful discussions, reinforcing echo chambers and deepening polarization. And yes, there's a lack of accountability and manipulative tactics are rampant. But these are just symptoms. What's the disease? The true problem with online debates is the ignorance of the audience.
The truth is my biggest problem's you.
Debaters shouldn't stop debating, whether they're good or bad. Expecting a change in algorithms for the sake of better argumentations is unrealistic. The real issue lies in the unknown unknowns, the things you don't know that you don't know. You, as the audience, are likely part of that problem. Not always intentionally, but unknowingly. Hopefully, after watching this video, you'll become more aware of these paradoxes and learn to defy them. You'll start recognizing logical fallacies where you might have previously fallen for the convincing rhetoric, and you'll become a little bit more self-aware online, listening with a more measured and critical ear. The key to fixing online debates starts with you. I hope you enjoyed our very first video. Please consider liking and subscribing for similar content, and please leave a comment below. And I mean that genuinely. Today I gave you some facts, but I also gave you some argumentation. I shared my proposition with you, and since our goal is knowledge, we do this for the comments. If you learn something, share it. If you're skeptical or curious, question it. If we miss something, then school us. And if you didn't like it, oppose it. Thanks for watching.